you have discovered through the expansion of the internet world. I am Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast. We're going to be talking about your life, my life, and the world today. So sit back, relax, grab something if you need it, and let's do this. All right, guys, welcome. This is Johnny Allen of the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast. How are you all doing out there today? It is January the 19th of 2024. Hard to believe, right? Hard to believe. As you can tell what I'm wearing, it's football's playoff time, right? And I guess you can tell by what I'm wearing who I'm rooting for this year. I've been a Packers fan since I was a kid. Since I was probably about 6 years old, and I went to a kind of a powwow meeting kind of thing yesterday, and a nice young lady asked me, she says, I was wearing Packer stuff, she said, "You from Wisconsin?" And I said, "No, I'm actually from Beech Grove, Indiana," which was kind of funny. So, but no, I've been a Packers fan since I was, old enough to talk and talk to my dad about it. So he was watching the Green Bay Packers when I was a youngster, and I remember asking him, I said, "Dad," I said, "what team is that?" Because I like the yellow and green. I thought that was just cool. And he says, "That's the Green Bay Packers." I said, "I like the Green Bay Packers." So go Pack this weekend. I'll talk a little bit more about Mr. Love, too, here in a minute as we get going. Thanks for stopping by. Like I said, it's January the 19th, and it's cold. Where I live, it's cold. It's real cold. It's like 12 degrees right now. Now, I know it's not as cold as Canada, but I don't live in Canada, so I don't care. But it's cold. It's cold here in Indiana. That's where I live in Indiana. In the United States, drink coffee as well. So let's see. Let's get the coffee thing out of the way. I'm drinking Cracker Barrel coffee again. Pretty dang good. And this mug right here I bought last year at Petoskey, Michigan, off of a local artist up there, and handmade. I think it's a beautiful crafted mug. I like to support local artists and musicians and things of that nature. And speaking of musicians, I want to thank everybody that's supported and tuned into My Friend's Song. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it again below on this video. Appreciate all the love on that song. Very, like I said, a very heartfelt song when I wrote it, and it's getting a lot of good reviews. So I appreciate that. Appreciate all the nice compliments on that song out there. Hope to have the Pipe Dream album out in a few months. I'll let you guys know. It's going to have about probably 10 songs on it, but I'll let you know about that on my music platforms. So, in case you're new here, what I do is I talk about everyday life stuff, randomly pick topics, and we just sit here and talk for 30 minutes. It's kind of like if I invited you to come to the coffee shop with me, and we sit down and we just talk about what the heck's going on right in the world. So let's just get right into it. Okay, what's going on in the world? It's cold. It's January. That's what it is. That's what it is in the Midwest. And, it's January, and it's 12 degrees. We got to worry about the global warming, right? It's global warming. Every year I've heard global warming, climate change. I'm not going to get all into that, but I'm just going to tell you my honest, humble opinion is climate change is natural. And is it severe? And has the weather here, at least in the Midwest, been pretty normal? Pretty much. Matter of fact, if anything, it's getting colder. last couple of years, we've had temperatures, in the negatives and 12 degrees. I remember last year I was out in New Jersey around Christmas time. Well, it was a Christmas time. And as we were leaving Indiana, it got down to 20 below zero in Indiana at Christmas last year. So we fast forward to January of this year, and we're at 12 and 14 and 2 and 7, and we're hovering at that zero mark, the actual temperature, right? Now, December was a little warmer for us than normal, but we're getting cold weather now. So the point I'm trying to make with all this is that, the what the media is feeding you about, climate change is a real threat. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. Comment below. Let me know what you think. If you're a believer in that, that's fine. I keep a open mind and open, and everybody's opinion is worth it here on this podcast. If you got an opinion, I'm okay with it. We may not agree on everything, and we won't, but that's okay. It's what makes the world go round. So it's cold here, climate change, especially when it comes to like global warming. Not so much here. I'm just telling you, not so much here. So maybe other places, but not here. Again, go Green Bay. And I want to talk a little bit about the climate and, the political agendas on getting everybody on electric, switching to electric cars and all that jazz. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of an electric car. Now, I am a fan of electric trains. And I got electric trains I'll show you guys sometime. They're actually sitting behind this camera. I got electric trains. I like electric trains. They're cool. Electric cars, not so much. Not into them. Government's force-feeding the electric agenda, which I don't understand that because they say electric is going to solve the fossil fuel problem and emissions, but it's not. Because guess what? You get electricity from the grid. The grid and electricity is manufactured by water, wind, and guess what? Fossil fuels. And the main source is fossil fuels right now. And nuclear. But fossil fuels is the main provider of electricity around the world. So, and the grid can't keep up with the demand or the supposed demand that they want to implement on electric vehicle transportation. It's just not going to work, at least not right away. So, to abandon fossil fuels, that's bad for the economy. They burn coal clean now and things like that. Pumping the gas out of the earth is not such a bad thing. It really isn't. Do research. Making more carbon to provide all the electricity for the green cars, you're contradicting the process. I talked about that on an earlier podcast, maybe a year or so ago. So with them trying to push this electric agenda, plus getting all the, without getting too technical, getting all the natural material that you need, the natural resources to create batteries, the nickel and everything else that goes into making a battery, that's digging mines, and that's a lot of work and a lot of destroying the earth and the planet by digging up those resources. Probably far worse or as bad as getting fossil fuels. So you're doubling the problem actually, because you're going out and you're trying to dig up or getting the resources to create the batteries. They have really no way of really disposing batteries safely, really, without pollution involved. And then you're doubling up on you're pulling on the grid really hard to charge all these electric vehicles. And so you're creating more pollution that way. So you're actually creating pollution twice as much than just going strictly with a gas-powered car. Now, if you want to go with a real solution, you get a hydrogen-powered car, which is ran by water and hydrogen, which is the cleanest method we could go by. Now, Toyota is supposed to be creating that, and they got the jump on that, from what I understand, the last time I read into it. And Toyota is doing a smart thing by doing that. Hydrogen cars, they fuel faster. They're good. They're making them safe now. They don't blow up like they would have 60 years ago, right? 50 years ago, 20 years ago. Anyway, I think hydrogen is the way of the future as far as clean, efficient, cost friendly, environmental friendly, all that stuff, source of fuel. So we got that out of the way. Let's go back to the Packers now. We're going back to the Packers. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you're staying warm. Hope you got money. Hope you got food. Hope you're not worrying too much about the world stuff I talk about once in a while. So how many people are interested in the NFL, first of all? Still interested in the NFL? You know, a couple years ago, I was like done with the NFL because of all the political nonsense, really, is what it is. I'm not saying that things don't need attention and that we don't need to bring up causes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think there's two different stages. I think there's stages, and I talk about like a stage you walk on, a stage you perform on, right? A platform you perform on, a platform you put your message out on, a stage. A stage appropriate for political ambition and political awareness, whatever your political awareness is, right? So there's certain places for that, there's certain places not. I believe that the NFL stage was not the place for political, and when they got super political a few years ago, I shut them down. I didn't want it to be entertained. I wanted to watch football. You watch football to get away from the other stuff, and it was just kind of blasting that in my face. So I gave it up for a little while, but yeah, no, I am an NFL fan, and I follow certain teams like the Packers, and so I wish them well, and I am paying attention to it a little bit more this year. So I'm going back to the NFL. They're still political, but it's not as bad as it was, you know. And I just think, like I said, there's nothing against standing up for a cause or an awareness of whatever it is. But I think there's certain places you do that and certain places you don't. My humble opinion, comment below on anything that I'm talking about today. If you wish, another drink of the Cracker Barrel coffee. Originally, I was going to do this as a live video feed on Rumble. But I'm new to Rumble, and I don't have that many followers yet on Rumble, few. And there's things you got to do to set that up, which I haven't done yet. I figured it out. So Rumble has a little more things that you got to do it live. So I'm just going to go ahead and record it and throw it up there. So, and it's just kind of laid back tonight because it's cold outside. And to be honest, I'm just tired because the cold makes me tired. But I wanted to talk to you guys about what's going on. So thanks again for all the music support. I appreciate that. Speaking of local musicians, I am friends with a band called Highway 9 Blues Band, and they are playing down in Memphis as I speak now. Good luck, guys, if you're watching the podcast or afterwards. I hope that you do well down there with the band, because it's not easy, me being in bands all my life. It's not easy to move the equipment around. It's not easy to be a roadie and a musician when you're starting out, and that's how you do it. You're doing everything and moving equipment in the cold. I've done that. And it's a lot of work. And the guys aren't, terribly young anymore. They're like my age, or maybe a couple of them are younger. But it's hard work. It's hard work. So, good luck, guys. And, take my hat off to you guys for doing it. Hope you do well. They're a damn good blues band. They really are good. Highway 9. Anyway, so we get back to the Packers real quick. I am a Love fan. He's a super duper quarterback, and I like him even more because of what he did here. And I'll post this right here, right now. So here we go. And I hope you like that clip right there, because as a stand-up guy, to push somebody out of the snow, it is cool. And I'm not. Now, the quarterback over on Houston, Stroud. Yeah, that's his name, Stroud. Rookie quarterback, doing great, lighting it up. He beat my home team, the Indianapolis Colts. I wasn't much of a fan of his either. I'm a Jordan Love fan, but I wasn't much fan of him, brother, Stroud, until now. And I really kind of admire the guy now. I changed my mind about him. I thought at first he was kind of quiet, kind of cocky a little bit or something like that. But I've gained a whole new respect for the guy. And he gave his gratitude to Jesus. He said, hey, I'm going to give it all to Christ, you know, if it wasn't for him. And he did that in an interview. I'm not going to get into the detail of it. But for NBC, and you know what? NBC edited out everything he had to talk about when it came to the Savior. When it came to Jesus, they just cut it out. And their claim is because they just had to, you know, they had to cut down on the time. So they picked the little part that he was talking about Christ out of it because they said it was a time issue. So let me ask you guys this question, and gals out there that happen to be watching. When does it make it right? When do you not have enough time for God? You know, when do you not have enough time for God? Well, you know, I'm talking about God here, but yeah, I'm going to have to edit that out because I don't have enough time. There's so much more important than him saying something good about God. Just a thought. Kind of crazy. That's where the world is going, or trying to go. And my hat's off to guys like him that say they're not afraid to go out there and say, you know what? I give it all to Jesus Christ because if it wasn't for him, man, I wouldn't be here. So if you're watching, which I doubt it, but if he's watching, good job, brother. That's good. It's great. Another drink of coffee. This is laid back Friday night. I like it. I like it when it's laid back. I like what's laid back. So if you're NBC or whoever, if you say Jesus, well, no, you can't do that. You gotta snip that right out of the audio. Don't know. Do you think God's watching those people and taking notes? I bet you he is. And we're all sinners, including me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm greater than thou. I'm not. I've made my fair share of mistakes and do every day. But I think I got time to say, you know, hey, Jesus is all right. You know, like the Doobie Brothers, just all right. Don't really cut him out. Okay, speaking of Jesus, I think we need a lot more Jesus today in this world. I'm looking at my notes here, guys. I'm gonna get the concerning stuff off my chest here first. Yesterday we had a meeting with our stock market guy, which he's a nice guy, like him, cool. I think he's honest, pretty much. He's in business, you know. He's in business for, you know, they make money on your money. That's the bottom line. So he asked us how we were doing, which was great. And I said, well, the wife and I said, we're doing fine. I said, you know, we're laying low this year on our spending because last year was our 10th year anniversary and first year both of us retiring. So we kind of went on some trips. We spent a little bit of money, but this year we're not because of many factors, right? Look at the world situation. Look at the wars. Look at there's an election coming up in the United States. It's going to be interesting, right? Things are bumpy. And if you listen to a lot of these people, they're pretty much right on about, well, I think about way things are going to go kind of south. Okay, well, anyway, that being said, I told him, I said, yeah, we're just kind of hanging on to our money right now. And we're just kind of cruising. And I said, we're just kind of floating as far as like, we're laying low and we're keeping everything. We're tucking the extra away. We're not spending. We got emergency funds and blah, blah, blah. And I said, because we want to waiver a storm. And so he froze for a minute. I said, we're going to waiver, you know, we got to ride through the storm is what I told him. We got to ride through the storm, like sail through the storm. So we got to ride it out. So he paused for a minute. He says, well, what storm are you talking about? I said, well, I predict there's going to be a storm, financial storm coming up, which the storm in my definition, because I'm not a stock guy, I mean, I watch them. But I said, you know, in case we have a war or a big war that impacts the economy, the current administration we got, I don't care what you say, is not good, period. That's a whole new podcast. And we got an election coming up. So we got many factors that determine where the market's going to go. And you've seen that happen in inflation and everything else. And we're overdue for having a really bad economic situation happening. So I just told him that. I said, so, you know, we're just going to keep that money right there. We're just going to, you know, we're just not going to take any out. We're not going to spend a lot this year. We're living really minimally. And he's like, well, I don't know where you get that from. I don't see any storms. I really don't know what you're talking about. He goes, well, get suspicious. I said, well, elections and stuff like that. So he said, yeah, every once in a while there's a bump and there's election, but we've seen the market blah, 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 blah. But as he went through his rant, or his, not really rant, as he's going through his conversation, because he's a nice guy, he was trying to kind of, I think, walk around it a little bit. And he's saying, but, after he got done with this conversation, but he did say, but it's unpredictable. No one really knows. I don't really know. And he goes, I don't really follow the news. And I'm like, that's interesting. So, what I do is I basically, if you got stocks and you're in the market and you got money, the bottom line is it's your money. Do with it what you want. So one last thing about visiting with the stock market agent yesterday is my wife already draws from hers a certain percentage, 6% a month, which isn't much really. And he's like, well, she had some questions, and not to bore you with it, he basically told her, well, I think that 6% is too much. You really need to go down to 5. And she says, okay, well, if I go down to 5%, drawing it out, and it's not like we don't have any money in there. We got enough. And he said, well, basically, if you go down to 5%, 6% is $200 a month, basically, is what she's drawing. On top of Social Security, which isn't much, but it works for us. She's drawing Social Security, drawing the 200, and does odd jobs, and then I draw mine. So we have two incomes coming in. I draw off mine, and what I do is I just go in. I do my own. I go in and decide how much money I need. I go in, I cash out. I just cash it out. Pay my tax and cash it. That's how I do it. She has an automatic 6% a month. So we'll clarify that. So he says, that's $200 a month. He says, I really want you to go to 5%. She says, well, how much would that be in terms of a month? And he said, $100. So basically it's cutting her income off of her money in half. And she said, well, what would that affect? He goes, well, here's the thing is, 5% would be good because, which is only $100 a month, because in case the market, now he just told me, now back up a little bit, he just told me that the market's only is going to be 75% above the water, no matter how low it dips or how high it goes. It'll constantly stay at 75%. That's what he just told me. Then he tells my wife that she needs to knock it down to 5% as opposed to 6%, because in 20 years the money might be gone. And that's just because in case, there's no growth at all. If there's no growth at all, he says, then her money will be almost depleted in 20 years at 6%. If the market doesn't grow. Well, he just told me it grows 75% no matter what. So what's the truth? That's the way these guys operate. So, my wife's 67 years old. I shouldn't be telling her age, but she told me, she said, John, I'm not going to knock it down to 5%. I'm going to keep it at 6%. I need that extra $200. I want that extra $200 a month. I earned that money. I said, right on, you did. I'm worth her 100%. Because she says, I'll be 87 in 20 years. I might not even be here. So that's what these guys are thinking, right? That's what they're thinking. They're just like, see, because he's young, so he's going to need the 20, he wants the 20 years. So he can retire, so he can make his commission money off my wife's money, right? Well, don't play that game. They don't know the market. No one knows for sure. They go by what's happened in the past and what they think is going to happen. I've seen the markets go up, the markets go down. And the thing is like if the economy really drops down and out, like he said, it's supposed to be 75% no matter what. But then he contradicted himself and said, well, if it's flat, it doesn't grow any in 20 years. You may run out of funds. So we're not worried about it. The only thing I'm hoping for is that Social Security won't go away. I don't know. That could be too. But I'm hoping I at least get some of it. And that's a whole other subject. We'll talk about that later. So the bottom line is I'm talking about the stock market and the money and all that stuff, is I'll watch mine grow to like 1,000, 2,000 on top of what I've already have. And if I see a pick get back up to gain $2,000 more, I pull the $2,000 out. Then I'm back to where it was. So I'm back to level ground, so to speak. And then it may dip down a little bit and then dips back up. And it dips back up to, I have a certain balance there. And if it gets up to two grand higher, I pull that $2,000 out. That I'm paying myself out of my money. Okay. And I've contemplated on taking just about everything out of one account and almost half on the other and just throwing it all in the bank and saving it. That way I know where my money's going, right? So anyway, it's a tricky situation. It's nothing's guaranteed except death, right? So that's my thing about the stock market. I just think it's just crazy. Crazy. Okay, talking notes here. Okay, talked about the phones. I talked about this. Talked about that. We talked about Jesus being canceled by NBC from sports people. I got about 6 minutes left here. From sports people, right? Sports people, minority sports people. Think about this. Back up to the football players. They're praising Jesus, and the press and the media and the news outlets are trying to cancel Christ. Think about that one, trying to cancel Jesus. Lastly, my 6 minutes. Hope everybody's doing good. Okay. I'm going to go here. I know people probably want to, and I know it's a topic that's kind of sensitive to people, and not really a topic, but a name that either brings cheer or brings fire. Okay, and I'm going to name this name Donald Trump. You either hate the guy or you love the guy, right? I don't care where you're at with that. I really don't care. All I'm going to say is this. I don't care how bad you are, and they all do bad things. All the politicians have done bad things. If you get right down to it, everybody's done bad things in their life. But I think that, and I'm going to be on the defense of Donald Trump, and some people may not like it, but it's true. How low can you get? I mean, you got to give it to the guy. He's going through all this stuff, and he's holding up. I don't know how. Everything they're bombarding him with, right? Whether it's justified or not, that's a whole different thing. But anyway, he's holding up. Okay. But this kind of like made me feel really sorry for him. And you guys are going to think, the guys that hate Trump and the women that hate Trump think, wait, feel sorry for him. What are you talking about? Well, his mother-in-law passed away, Melania's mom. And the judge, he just asked the judge, one of the judges, I think the one in New York, said, hey, can we move it to Monday or Tuesday of next week? Because tomorrow, I really should go to my mother-in-law's funeral, right? And the judge denied him. He said, yeah, if I was a judge, I'd say, yeah, we can move it to Monday, no problem. Plus, especially because he was a president. They should get a little bit of respect, a little bit. He was the president of the United States for 4 years. I know people have a hard time believing that, but it's true. He was a sitting president. And the judge said, no, you got to come in or, we can't change the date, It's like, really? Really? Just food for thought, guys. The poor guy can't even get a break when it comes to that. You guys think what you will about Donald Trump, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I lean Republican, but I voted independent, and I voted for Democrats. I've worked voting polls, and I've worked with really nice Democrat people. I look at the person, right? And I look at how I'm a little bit, about me. I mean, like everybody else, I think about how much money I had when Donald Trump was in office. I think about how cheap things were when he was in office. I think about the stock market going way up when he was president. I don't look at him to be my pastor or my preacher. I don't look at him as being even my stepfather or whatever. I just look at policies. And when he was in, and I don't care what you say, the economy was a lot better. The world stage was a lot better. Is that coincidence? I don't know. You comment below and tell me. But we were in better shape. Financially, groceries were cheaper, fuel independence, all that stuff that he's saying. And it's weird. A lot of people thought, he's full of it. He lies. He makes up stories because he said that, the COVID virus came out of China and all that. He was right. He was right about all that. The lab and all that stuff. So you got to give the man some credit, even if you hate him. You got to, everybody deserves a little grace, I guess. But the judge, the main reason why I'm talking about it is because that judge basically told him he could not reschedule the date. And I guess Donald was like, I got all next week, man. Can we just have it? And he said no. He said, so he had to make a choice whether he went to his mother-in-law's funeral or went to the court date, and I'm not even sure which one he did. But that's crazy. Talk about the fairness. We'll talk more about fairness next week. Just wanted to catch up. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Like I said, I'm Johnny Allen. I just do a 30-minute podcast. I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm a musician, grandfather, father, husband, to my wife, so I'm just an average guy looking at the world stage and just, drinking some coffee and sharing the time with you guys. I got a new video actually coming out tonight too. I do these concept videos. This is called Cry the Blues Away. It's the only country song I've ever written, and it's about women and wives and moms that are having a hard time fighting depression, and the world's coming down on them. They're overloaded, and they just feel like they just don't know what to do, and basically it's just like just cry and let that emotion out. That's what the song's about. If you get a chance, I'll link it below. It's called Cry the Blues Away. I do all concept videos because it's just me. I don't really have a band, and I'm not that interesting anyway, really. So I like to put my music to a concept. And I have another one, which I'll link it to below. It's a heavy metal. I've done heavy metal. I've done just about any kind of genre of music except for jazz. I haven't really explored jazz. I messed around with a jazz project back in the early 2000s, and it was very short-lived, but it was fun. But I've done heavy metal music, classic rock and roll music, and country even. So, and I haven't done rap yet, although I've thought about making some beats, and I got some music like snippets that I can give to some of these guys I know that are rap artists. The studio I go to, young guys, But anyway, what I'm saying is the heavier song is called For the Morning. It's a music concept. It's another one I put. It's the theme is tied to like cowboys in the old Wild West, right? So if you guys are interested in all that, I'll link it below. I appreciate you supporting local music, local musicians like myself, just guys that I've never gotten signed to a big contract or anything like that. I've had some placements in TV, music placements. I'm hoping to have more, but guys are interested, I have the links below. Everybody have a great day. Have a great week. I'll catch up with you next week. Go Pack. Go Packers, right? All right. Like, it's Lester Holt. This is who I was trying to think of who that was the last time. He's like, I like what he says, and I'll borrow his line. He says, "Be good to each other, and stay well." Basically, what he says, and I agree with that. So, with that being said, I'll catch you guys next week, the Lord willing, on the Johnny Allen 30-minute podcast. Thanks for stopping in. You have discovered, through the expansion of the internet world, I am Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen 30-minute podcast.